was going to be people or bodies left in the street because of that.
Made lurid and false claims about the royal family, which played on her fears and fueled paranoia.
Everyone had a feeling, but no one could prove it, until now. Prince William has finally addressed the rumors, and what he said is sending shockwaves through the royal circle. What's the real story behind his admission? Stay tuned, and be sure to subscribe for more inside scoops. Prince William has always appeared calm, composed, and ready for duty. From the outside, he was the picture of a future king, graceful, responsible, and deeply committed to service. But for years, royal watchers and insiders whispered about the emotional burden he might be hiding beneath that polished exterior. Now, those whispers seem more than justified. Behind palace doors, William faced battles few knew about. His life, though filled with privilege, carried invisible weight that he rarely let the public see. People often assumed he was untouched by personal struggle. After all, he was raised in palaces and trained for leadership since childhood. But that perception is shifting.
I know that in the position I'm in, that's what's required of me to do, and I think
Over time, we've come to learn that what he endured in private shaped the man he is today. This wasn't just a burden of tradition or expectation. It was emotional, personal, and deeply rooted in his earliest years. And now, for the first time, he's beginning to open up about it. So what was William carrying all this time? And what did he finally reveal that confirmed what so many had suspected? Let's take a deeper look at the emotional journey that brought him to this point of honesty. Growing up in the royal family, William's life was anything but typical. While most kids his age were learning to ride bikes in their neighborhoods, he was already on magazine covers, shaking hands with world leaders, and being watched by millions. But behind the grand entrances and royal events, Princess Diana had one goal. She wanted William and his brother Harry to see the world for what it truly was.
My life, and certainly William's, but he's ready for it. He's a very independent child.
She took them to places royals rarely went, shelters, hospitals, even McDonald's, because she believed that understanding real life was more important than royal protocol. Her efforts to raise grounded sons created unforgettable moments, but it couldn't protect them from the emotional turbulence around them. William was deeply close to his mother. She confided in him, sometimes more than a young boy could handle. She called him her little wise old man, leaning on him for comfort during difficult times. He wasn't just her son, he became her emotional support, something most children should never have to become. That early emotional pressure planted the seeds of the struggles William would carry for years. Even in moments of happiness, there was always something heavier running underneath. William was just 15 years old when his world shifted in a way no one could have prepared him for.
she would have enjoyed that comment. So they always live with you, people, you lose.
At Balmoral Castle, where the family often spent summers, he received news that would change his life. Suddenly, the world expected him to carry grief, dignity, and tradition all at once, with cameras rolling and eyes watching his every move. In those moments, he went from teenager to symbol of strength. We all remember the images of William walking alongside his brother behind the ceremonial vehicle. It became one of the most iconic public moments of that time. But behind the image was something far more personal. Years later, William admitted he didn't even know if he wanted to walk in that procession. It wasn't an easy choice. It wasn't simple grief. He was torn between public duty and private emotion. It was his grandfather who gently encouraged him by saying, "If you walk, I'll walk with you." That moment, he later described, was one of the hardest things he had ever done. What followed wasn't much easier.
Away together with some friends, and I just decided that it was the right time, really.
William and Harry pulled away from public life. But while the world moved on, the emotional weight lingered. William would later admit he spent years in a kind of fog, unable to fully process it all. It's a story of silent struggle, of putting on a brave face while carrying a heart full of unanswered questions. As William returned to public life, many assumed he had found a way to move on. He smiled at events, gave speeches, and fulfilled his royal duties without missing a step. But behind the formal gestures, there was something the cameras couldn't catch. He focused intensely on school, enrolling at Eton College and later at St. Andrews University. He studied hard, took on leadership roles, and pushed himself in sports, But these weren't just hobbies, they were distractions. The truth? He was burying his emotions.
We must collaborate in new ways, and we must be courageous.
William later admitted he didn't talk to anyone about what he felt for years. Not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't believe he could. He thought showing any vulnerability would make him seem weak. That belief followed him for a long time. He hid behind responsibilities, buried himself in achievement, and tried to protect his younger brother all at once. But no matter how far he went or how much he accomplished, something was always following him, grief that had never been addressed. This silent struggle shaped his view of the world, and one day it would become the reason he decided to finally speak up. For years, the public guessed that Prince William had never truly found closure. The quiet look in his eyes during royal events, the emotion he held back, it was all there for anyone paying attention. But no one knew for sure, until now. In a rare moment of vulnerability during a documentary, William finally shared what so many suspected.
To come out of 10 years worth of Earthshot, then it's worth it.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing.
He said the shock from that moment still lives inside him, even decades later. People think it fades, but it doesn't, he said with quiet honesty. It was a revelation that confirmed everything royal followers had long believed, that William had been holding it all inside, carrying the weight alone. He even shared how he felt his mother's presence on his wedding day to Kate. He said it was as if she was there, guiding him, watching him take that next step in life. For the first time, we saw not the future king, but the son still healing. William's confession didn't just confirm the rumors. It gave people permission to understand that grief doesn't have a timeline. That even someone born into royalty, with all the support and resources imaginable, could feel lost. And in that honesty, he made a powerful point.
Concentrating on what we need to give up, what we can't do, which is very negative. And all of us, as much as we will try.
Healing isn't about forgetting. It's about finally saying, yes, I feel it too. William wasn't the only one trying to cope in silence. His younger brother Harry was also going through the same emotional storm, just in his own way. What's interesting is how differently they both handled it. Harry eventually opened up too, but in his case, it was William who encouraged him to talk to someone. Despite facing his own struggles, William was still looking out for his brother, just as he had been doing since they were kids. That protective instinct never faded, but their paths to healing weren't identical. While William took the quieter internal route, Harry later chose a more vocal and public approach. They shared the same story, but carried it differently. Their shared past kept them close, even as life moved them into different roles. And while the world often compared them, it's clear they were both doing the best they could with what they had.
There's a lot that I can forgive, but there needs to be conversations, and then in order to...
Their journey highlights a truth many can relate to. Even in the same family, emotions aren't processed the same way, and sometimes the quietest ones carry the loudest pain. William didn't let the silence define him. Eventually, he found a way to transform his private pain into public purpose. Together with Harry and Kate, he helped launch the Heads Together campaign, an initiative aimed at breaking the stigma around mental health. The campaign encouraged people to talk, to be honest, and most importantly, to listen. William knew how hard it was to open up, and he didn't want others to feel alone like he once did. He's since been part of multiple projects, like Shout, a 24/7 mental health support line. He also introduced mental health at work, helping employees and employers support emotional well-being in professional spaces.
Duty and her service, her tolerance, her...
But what really sets him apart is how personal he's made this mission. He's spoken with athletes, students, and regular people, not just as a public figure, but as someone who understands what it means to struggle silently. His message is clear. No matter who you are, it's okay to talk. It's okay to feel. And it's more than okay to ask for help. William is not just walking the traditional royal path. He's shaping it into something new, a version where honesty and empathy take the lead. As a husband and father, William is more aware than ever of the importance of emotional connection. He's openly shared how much he wishes his mother had met Kate and their children. He imagines what she would have been like as a grandmother, how much he would have loved being a part of their lives. This longing hasn't held him back. It's fueled his determination to raise his kids differently. He wants George, Charlotte, and Louis to grow up knowing it's okay to feel, to talk, and to lean on others. So what do you think about Prince William's emotional journey? Do you think it's changing how we see the royal family? Let us know in the comments below, and if you found this story moving, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories that matter.